Hi y'all, my name is Louis Sun and welcome to my channel where we talk about law of attraction, vibration, and becoming the deliberate creator of your life experience. Today's video is actually on an article that I wrote, I think last week or the week before, I'm not sure, but it's a true sense of personal agency from a law of attraction perspective. First of all, you have to understand that most of us, and it's just kind of natural in our culture, it's just natural, I think just based on like the evolution of our consciousness, to develop the belief that we derive our sense of personal agency from how others respond to us. And when we don't know of ourselves as an extension of source energy, and therefore that we have our own personal sense of guidance and personal agency, it seems like this is a good idea. But the issue is, and we start to discover the discrepancy in this belief, when we start to experience that other people's responses to us might not be honest. And furthermore, even if they are honest, they might not be conducive to our well-being. Well, the truth of the matter is that everybody's responses to us are meant to serve their well-being. And sometimes that also serves our well-being, and with certain situations, they might have the exact right words to say to us. In other words, their response to us might be conducive to our well-being. However, this isn't always the case, and even if it does come with the best of intentions, even if it is conducive to our well-being, it might not be what is the optimal thing for us to understand for our well-being. So a true sense of personal agency can't really fundamentally come from how other people respond to us. Even if we do something crappy, and this is hard for a lot of people to accept, at least it was hard for me to accept, even if we do something crappy, of course we have to take responsibility for that and improve the way that we act or treat other people. However, we can't use how another person responds to that as our sense of agency or how we feel about our own choices and behavior or the way that we act, because how they respond is ultimately, fundamentally about them and how they feel. So how do we navigate this all? Even if you don't really believe in law of attraction or that thoughts create reality or in vibration at all, you still have emotional responses to your own choices and behavior before you act on that choice and behavior. You still have emotional responses to how that behavior plays out. So even if you don't believe in energy, you can still have a sense of personal agency that has nothing to do with how other people respond to you by gauging how this thought feels, how this idea feels, how this choice feels before or after you make that choice, before or after you act on that choice. Again, even if you don't believe in energy or that you're being guided by source at all times, you still can have that personal sense of agency by gauging how you feel about your choices and how you feel about your actions. Now, when we get into the law of attraction perspective of this, if you do believe in energy, assuming that you do, and that's why you clicked on this video, where this gets really, really fun is that not only does this allow us the greatest access to well-being in terms of our choices and behavior, but it also allows us the most optimal well-being for our life experiences as a whole, because it allows us the most optimal well-being for our point of attraction, which means what we bring into our experiences, the types of people we bring into our experiences, etc. If you want to start harnessing this, you have to start discerning between how you actually feel about your choices and behavior, your thoughts, your choices and thought, because we also attract our thoughts as well, and somebody else's response to you. Somebody else's response to you can help guide you to improving your behavior, but ultimately, people can be using stuff against you. even if you do something crappy, they can use it against you to control you. And other people's responses to you are about how they perceive to best go about well-being and goodness and love. Again, even if it does serve you in some way, it's still not your guidance. You're not tuning into your guidance system. Practically, start discerning between, okay, am I feeling this way because somebody's responding to me in a certain way? Or am I feeling this way because this is how I actually feel about my own choices and my own behavior? That's the first thing to discern. And then where you start getting really fun and you can really start harnessing it is when you start thinking about, okay, how each thought feels. Which direction on the emotional scale is it moving you? Is it moving you towards more constriction and resistance? Or is it moving you towards more broadening and relief? And also, how, like, literally, what emotion does each thought make you feel? Like, where are you resonating on the emotional scale? Are you resonating in a powerless place and moving towards a more angry place and moving towards a more frustrated place and then towards boredom and then dissatisfaction? Or are you moving down the scale? Are you causing more of a constriction? Are you beating a dead horse? Are you overanalyzing something? Are you causing more negative emotion for yourself? That is really how you begin gauging personal agency. And then when you consider your point of attraction, that's where you can really start to become a deliberate creator, is by thinking about how each thought feels, not only just choices and behavior. So not only are you going to be improving the way you treat yourself and the way you treat other people and improving your relationships, you're also going to be improving your literal just sense of well-being and the things that come into your experience and how inspired you are, how creative you can be, how much access to potential that you have. That is really everything that comes with learning to have this true sense of personal agency, not only over your choices and your behavior, but that's how you harness your vibration, is by paying attention to discerning, first of all, discerning between whether the way you're feeling about something is coming from yourself or someone else. Second of all, discerning which direction the thought is moving you. And third, how the thought feels, how the thought is making you feel, what vibration is it actually encouraging, and building momentum in a consistent, positive direction. What this can also do is it can take out all the excess noise that we sort of start to develop when we're listening to other people's responses to us rather than our own emotional responses to our own behavior and our own thoughts. First of all, it'll help you discern whether or not you should even be focusing on a certain subject at a certain time, if it's too sensitive, or if you need to focus on other things, get your vibration up, and then you can address that issue or whatever from a higher emotional place and get more relief and eventually get yourself into a positive vibration about it. It'll also help you discern, again, whether or not something, the way you feel about something is even relevant to focus on. If it's even something that you need to address, or if it's something that you just genuinely need to let go of. And then the biggest freedom that comes from this is really learning whether or not how you feel about something is based on how somebody else is responding to you. And when I say that it's all about how you feel, it's not that you're completely disregarding how your choices affect somebody else. It's just that you're allowing yourself the freedom from how they feel about it and the thoughts that they think about it, so you can actually improve that behavior rather than beating yourself up about it because somebody else can't let go of the way that something that you've done. So it's not that you're completely disregarding the way that people feel about what you do. You can still have compassion for those things and still take responsibility and still improve your behavior to improve your relationships. It's just that you're allowing yourself to be guided by your own mind, to improve your own thoughts and to improve your own behaviors based on that true sense of guidance. your own internal compass rather than the compasses of other people, which will always, to some degree, be skewed. So again, it's not disregarding people's advice, it's not disregarding how they feel about how you treat them. It's more so having more dynamicness, and again, having more agency over how you feel and the way that you behave, and ultimately being able to make more discernment about about other people's responses to you, and knowing how much to take in, what not to take in, and even when you're just alone or reflecting or whatever, whether this is relevant to focus on, whether it's something you just need to let go of, or something that you need to, come back to later, or whatever. The potential that you have access to is literally pretty much boundless when you truly take personal agency and gauge how you actually feel about your choices and your behaviors, and especially about your thoughts, because that's where you can really start consistently building positive momentum and attracting more and more thoughts that bring more and more ideas that allow more and more well-being for yourself, for others, and ultimately for the collective, because we literally live in a just giant field of consciousness that's focusing in an infinite variety of ways. The more that you generate positive momentum, the more positive energy you put into the collective. So this personal agency from a law of attraction perspective is absolutely limitless once you learn to detach from how other people respond to you, which still means having compassion for the way that other people respond to you, or empathy if you can't get yourself to a high enough vibration. Yeah, you can still feel for and love other people where they are, but you don't have to be swayed by what they think, and that's the ultimate benefit of all this. So if you want to read the article, I have it linked below. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope this clarified some stuff for you. Have a good week.